excited to be here at TEDxFortWayne again, and I am honored to be on the stage this time with the opportunity to share with you an idea that I think is very useful. Two things before we plunge into the heart of the topic. Number one, you have my permission to either grin or groan at some of the slides I'm going to put up here. My intention is that this is just me, despite the lights, talking to you. And when I talk, I doodle. So doodles ahead, just your fair warning here. React as you see fit. Number two, this part of my experience here is one way. I'm talking to you. I hope as I walk off this stage and we mingle for the rest of this day and go on, it becomes a conversation about yes and. And I will learn from you and you will learn from me and everything will work out well. I told you. This is my title slide for people who think in pictures instead of words, and I know some of you are out there. This is where I am today. It sums up yes and as I'm experiencing it right now. Allow me to interpret for my fellow word people. Some wonderful stuff, plus more wonderful stuff, equals, well, honestly, right now, I don't know yet, but I am confident that together it can be absolutely wonderful. So yes and is what I'm talking about. This is not an original idea. Maybe some of you find yourself saying this wise things from now and again. If so, congratulations. I think I'm using it in a particular way, so I hope you'll be willing to ride with me through this explanation. One of the ways I came to understand yes and came to the way I am using it here is because it's an idea that makes things like improvisational theater work. It's behind the good Saturday Night Live skits that we've all enjoyed. The way it works is you're somewhere in a situation, and someone comes in and says something or does something, or you get some information, or you witness something, and your response is a particular kind of yes. It's a yes that says, okay, I'll take that for what it's worth. I'll embrace that for the moment. I'll live with this idea for a while and see where it takes me. But that's not the end of the process. You gotta do the and. This is where the magic comes in. When you're doing the and part of yes and, you are adding to the idea and going on together with it. It might be you can connect this idea you've said yes to with something you already know or something you've already experienced, and then you can kind of work on what that might mean. Maybe it triggers a sudden inspiration in you that's worthy of exploration. One way or another, it's an additive process. It's an inclusive process. It's a way to make sure good stuff doesn't get lost. And I hope to persuade you, entice you. I'll just plain invite you to take this yes and idea as your own too and use it. Because I think yes and is just tremendously important right here, right now, today. But why, you ask? What's the urgency about all this? Well, that's a fair question. What is my motivation? Well, many-layered. Frankly, I am motivated to be up here today talking about yes and, despite the fact that I am a lifelong writer, and this is really stepping outside how I am accustomed to communicating. I'm standing up here, talking out loud, in public, to actual people who are in the same room with me. This is alien territory. So I am standing up here, motivated to do this, despite the fact that I am risking mumbling, mispronouncing words, totally blowing my lines. I am motivated because I'm afraid. I am afraid that Fort Wayne, I see how easily this could happen. Fort Wayne could miss some of the greatest opportunities the city has ever had. And that would be so sad. How might this happen? Well, here's how it works. I do love Fort Wayne. I drew it for you. I really want Fort Wayne to succeed in a serious way. I want Fort Wayne, I want the city I live in to be cool, to be fabulous, to rock. And I want it to be this way because I deserve it, and you do too. And we should set the bar of cool, fabulous, rockin' pretty high, frankly, because we do deserve it. But we do run the risk of not getting there, and here's how that can happen. We might blow it. It might not turn out well. How might we blow it? By taking sides, by hardening into positions before we really need to settle on a unified approach to things, by seeing our city's future as a zero-sum game when it isn't. It most emphatically is not. Zero-sum thinking is a trap, and it's everywhere. I feel it, maybe you feel it too. I see it in my work as a journalist. It's a trap. Here's an example of how it traps you. Okay, personal story. Okay. I am absolutely in love with Kelly Lynch's vision for Headwaters Junction. It is fabulous. It's authentic because it's really about us. It's audacious because it's big and it adds things that have never been done before, and it's a wonderful thing. I love it so much that when I hear other ideas, I get all protective of this idea is my pet idea. Even when I hear glorious ideas like Eric Kuhn's vision of Headwaters 2.0, which you may have heard about. If not, Google it and you'll find it. He is the original designer of Headwaters Park, the first phase of which we have been enjoying and frankly almost loving to death over the past many years. Eric has been back in town recently explaining this. The picture he paints is just wonderful. It's a string of what he calls inviting garden rooms, starting at the confluence of the three rivers and going down the St. Mary's River to Sweeney Park. It's glorious, but I hear that and I'm going, oh, what about Headwaters? What does that do to Headwaters Junction? This is a trap. This is saying no to something and just shutting off thinking about it rather than moving forward and finding a way for it to work. I know that reacting this way isn't a good thing. I rationalize it. I tell myself, well, you know, it takes time for big ideas to take root and grow, and who wants littler things to happen that might take up space and resources that the big idea will need later? That's just a rationalization. It's not productive. It's not constructive. It's limiting things. And it does not move us forward. It makes this whole vision thing about the future of Fort Wayne smaller and meaner and lesser. It is not cool. It is not fabulous, and it is not rockin'. This lovely infographic captures many of the things that interest and tempt and I think are important. You have something like this in your head too, though your handwriting and artistic styles may be quite a bit different. The important thing about this is it forces me to say, you know, honestly, this is a lot of stuff. It's hard to organize it. It's hard to take it all in. Because there is so much of it for me and for you and for everybody, it's okay that it's hard to process it, to think it all through, and to come to some kind of a constructive response to it. That's all right. The point is that if we use this yes and idea, we can make sense of it. We can move forward. Here's the pitch. Here's why yes and is the idea for right now. We are in a position of, I'll call it abundance in Fort Wayne right now. I'll grant you that Fort Wayne has always had a certain kind of abundance. We have been recently famous for not making anything of it. But abundance today is pretty special because we have an abundance of three important things. We have an abundance of really fascinating ideas. You saw my picture of some of them. I could take all day and I have my list with me if you want to help me add some to it, talking about great ideas that I already know about. But let me just run through some of the ones to give you a sense of the variety and the depth of scale and all the stuff that's going on. First of all, there's Headwaters Junction, the steam engine at the heart of town, showing us off to the world. There's Eric Kuhn's Headwaters 2.0. That's a wonderful idea. I need to be saying yes and to this. You've heard of the 46807 project. Wonderful thing. You may have heard of the Founders Co-working Space. People really need that. This is a good thing to have here. Have you noticed all the bicycle racks that are around town and being used, even the ones on the front of the buses? This is good, this is new, this is going the right direction. We enjoy a new downtown arts campus thanks to Arts United, which has, over its 50-plus years of existence, given the city so much and continues to be a reservoir of incredible potential to help us through and into the future. Did you know that there are people working on a public art policy and program for the city of Fort Wayne? How wonderful that would be. The University of St. Francis has bought into downtown, literally and figuratively. They're even talking about having student residences downtown, and that would just be amazing. We would have the arts people here and their business students here, and wonderful things can happen when you get people like that living close to each other and hanging out together. Indiana Tech right here is opening a law school, and this campus is so vital and so growing and has so much going on that it represents a potential to revitalize the whole east central side of Fort Wayne. Manchester College is opening a pharmacy school. We have new tech high schools, project-based learning, amazing stuff. I've been in them, they're wonderful, you just feel so good being there. Scattered throughout our region now. There are new master plans for Fort Wayne City Parks and for our regional transportation network. Did you even know those things exist? They're one way that people capture and preserve so we can work on it. They're visions for the future of this place. Have you heard of the Harrison Street Entertainment District? It was part of a downtown plan 2 or 3 iterations back, and it's still here and it's growing, and you may be hearing more about it soon because architect Jim Hoke of Hoke Associates has used internship times to build these just really cool scale models of the city that you can look at and you can see, my goodness, that would work beautifully. It would link the riverbank with our existing fun district with the Embassy and the Grand Wayne and Harrison Square, and fabulous things. I could go on and on with these things that excite me and that are really wonderful. But I want to talk about connections too. Another thing we are abundant in. Really interesting collaborations are happening right now in Fort Wayne and Allen County and even in the region that are making things happen that were not possible before. This kind of stuff does not happen in places where individual power and turf is more precious than the common good. This is an abundance. This is a good thing to have this. You may have heard of the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership. Long name, hard thing to kind of brand, but in this, Allen County and the other 9 counties of Northeast Indiana, which I practice learning them in order, but you'll just have to trust me, there are 10 of them altogether. These counties have been working with each other, and they have come to trust each other sufficiently that they have pooled their resources, money, public, private, people, the whole thing, to create and present to the world a unified voice, a unified face for economic development in this region. We've decided everybody wins. It's not a contest between Whitley County and Allen County, or LaGrange and Steuben. On a smaller scale, the announcement was recently made that the Greater Fort Wayne, Inc. has just happened and is a nearly complete merger between the Alliance, which is Allen County's economic development organization, and the Greater Fort Wayne Chamber of Commerce. City and county government here have a reputation of not getting along at all, and you can tell lots of stories about that, but I tell you things are changing. Not only have they successfully carried out a very complicated co-location project, but they are cooperating in important ways that are making wonderful things happen. This cooperation effort is led right now by the land use management people and all of the agencies, city and county, that are involved in the development permitting process. Please pay attention to that. You are soon going to get a public invitation to participate in and make suggestions about the years of work that has gone into aligning and updating our zoning ordinances, which make a difference to everybody who owns property and lives here. So please pay attention to that. Young Leaders of Northeast Indiana is a wonderful organization that has triggered a lot of collaboration. We have an abundance of wealth, finally. Social theorists, you may have heard of Jane Jacobs, whose love of cities just rings out true in everything she writes. Social theory tells us that cities concentrate wealth, they gather wealth, and they create new wealth. And what I most love about cities is the wealth we hold in common. I get to live a richer life because I'm in a city, because altogether we're able to make parks and have functioning sewer systems and safe streets and also all the other things, including street trees and pretty stuff that makes my life better. Right now, though, we have this special actual cash wealth, the $75 million that's called the Legacy Fund. This is our money because it is the proceeds from the city's sale of its old electric power generating operation to Indiana Michigan Power. This year is the year when money from that is first being spent. People just like us have been involved in the decision-making leading up to the decisions of how to spend this money. This is fabulous. This combination of ideas and connections and wealth only happen in places that are healthy, that are vibrant, and if they're not already growing and getting richer economically, socially, and culturally, they are poised to do so. Think of this $75 million as seed money that we can double or triple as we build our city's future. Here we are. Yes, and I am asking you to make this my idea your idea. Right now, we've got a question mark. In a few months, a year, I don't know how long, we will turn that question mark into another exclamation mark. I am an editor, and I do not allow exclamation marks, except under very special circumstances. So this is a big deal. Yes, and. This is the moment for yes, and. I am asking you to find it in your hearts to be open to new ideas, to look for connections among them. I'm asking you to commit yourself to talking them up. And look for the times that are going to be coming when you need to call your elected officials to say, I want you to spend money on this project or this combination of good ideas, because I think that's the way our city should go. Yes, and is the way to our future. Thank you so much for letting me share it with you.